Hi everyone. I am extremely sorry. Actually, I was stuck within a traffic, so that's why it got delayed. Hi Mahesh.
Hi,
Hi Pavitra Reddy. Hi Pavitra. Good evening to you both.
yeah, very good evening.
For- Oh, it's you. For you, it's morning, right? I forgot. So Pavitra, I'll be just giving a recap. We learned yesterday what a language is and why we require a
Okay,
computer language, right?
okay,
So I explained all these things to Mahesh. Now I'll
okay,
just recap for your sake.
okay.
So why we require a language? The purpose of any language in computer applications. Oh, sorry, forget about the computer applications. In general, why we require a language is to perform some communication, right? So we make the language as a medium to communicate. For this purpose, we'll be using the language. This is the main purpose. And why we have to communicate? What is the purpose of communication? Because I have some information. I have to transmit this information to you. How can I transmit this information? Only if you can understand me, then only I can transfer the information what I have. Right? So for that understanding sake, you and me both should be on a common platform. That platform is known as a language. Okay. Now, okay, we have the languages. Now, why we have to go for the computer languages? The next important thing. Why we require any computer language? The reason is, here also we will be doing a communication, but not with the system. We are doing the communication from person to person only here. But we are making some medium for our communication here. We call that medium as a system. Okay. So to make this system understandable what we are saying, and it has to transmit the same information to another person also. Right. That means you and me both are communicating now. How we are communicating with each other? You are at different place and I am at different place. But we are meeting here with the help of GoToMeeting. What is this GoToMeeting? This is an application prepared by using a computer language. Right. So this is the purpose of introduction of any computer language. That means when the persons are at distinct places, or even though the persons are one after the each other, and when they don't know one other's language, in those situations we require a medium in between them. That medium, we consider this medium as a computer language. We introduce this medium as a computer language, because of which we are preparing a lot of applications, and because of those applications these persons are being communicated. So if you observe in real world nowadays, everything within the computer is not for the sake of computer, it is for the sake of people only, right? When you go to the bank, everything is a system operated now. Your account will be existing inside the system. Why? Is it for the system's sake? No, for your sake as well as for the bank manager's sake. Bank manager has to validate how much amount you are having, and you have the right to access your own amount. So to provide the communication in between you and the bank manager, you require a system in bank. In the same way, inside the college, we require a lot of applications to communicate in between your teacher and you. Like this, we are using the computer languages everywhere within our day-to-day life. Okay. Okay. Now we learn the computer languages also. Now there exists a lot of computer languages earlier to the birth of Java, like C, C++, Python, Fortran, etc. All these are the languages which were in existence before the birth of Java. Now, why we require Java when we already have these languages? What is the purpose of Java now? Okay, the intention to understand the purpose of this Java, we have to go with a small example, which I have explained to Mahesh yesterday. I think Mahesh is feeling boredom, right? So, I have an Indian railway reservation system. Have you ever heard about this? Indian railway reservation system. I simply refer to this as IRRS from here. Consider this. So, if you consider, when you were in India, if you have gone to the Indian railway station and fill your form to make some reservation to any other station, and if you submit that form into the counter, he will be booking the ticket for you. Do you know how he is booking the ticket? He is doing that ticket booking by using a computer application which was built on C and Fortran. By using these languages, he prepared an application. That means the clerk didn't prepare it, someone prepared and delivered that application to this IRRS. And this IRRS system is using an application which was built by using C and Fortran. And this is the live example why we are going to the Java language. That's why I'm insisting on this. It is still running. That's why I'm focusing on this. Okay. So this is using C and Fortran. And have you ever heard about this site IRCTC, which is also used to book the same tickets, and that is also same in India only. Indian Railway Catering and Transport Services it is. Okay. So this is also built, this is also a computer application, but this was built on Java platform. So this is the live example and simple example. Why this IRCTC site was built when you already have this Indian Railway reservation system, which was built on C and Fortran. I'll explain you a few things, then you can understand. Okay, the first difference in between these two is, as I said you already, the first one is language. What I mean language is the computer language here. It is using C and Fortran and it is using Java. So up to here everything is fine for me. Now going forward, the next and important concept is user interaction. When it comes to user interaction, so see this, people require some basic training to understand this application. If you have taken the railway reservation system, you are filling some form where you are filling your details like from station, from you are going to, from is Hyderabad and your to is some other location, I'll say that it is Secunderabad. Okay, and you have a train, I'll take it as a Mumbai instead of Secunderabad. Okay, you need to go to Mumbai and the train is some Hussain Sagar Express. Okay, so these are the details you will be giving within your application, and after this you will be giving your name, age, everything. So they will not be changing, they will be of same things. But what the system will be taking here is, system cannot understand when you give it Hyderabad. There will be some code for Hyderabad. If you observe IRCTC, inside IRCTC also, when you are entering Hyderabad, have you ever used IRCTC site? You both, Mahesh and Pavitra?
No. No. I haven't used it.
Fine. If it is so, I have to show you once. Then you can understand. One second. So see this. So this is the site which was built on by using Java.
Okay.
చాలా సింపుల్ గా ఉంటుంది తెలుసా.
Oh, it is saying my account is deactivated. One second. I'm sorry, my account, I used it long ago, so my account got deactivated. Balaji, hope you have your IRCTC account, right? Okay. One second, I'll show you. We still have some other sites along with IRCTC. I'll check. See this. For Hyderabad, whenever I am writing the Hyderabad name itself, some recommendations are coming here. Are you seeing it? HYB. Okay. So this is the code what you have to give within the system when you are booking a ticket from Hyderabad. That means the system cannot understand when you give Hyderabad. It can only understand when you give HYB. So when you are filling the form, you don't give this. You will be giving only this one. Okay. And two also, if you are giving something like Mumbai, system cannot understand Mumbai. It can only understand CSTM, which is the code for Mumbai. See, each and every station is provided with the code also, hyphen code. Are you observing it? Both?
Yes, yes, yes.
Each and everything will be provided with the code. So system can understand. This system can only understand that code. So for the Mumbai, what you have to give here? You have to use CSTM.
CST.
Okay. In the same way, whatever the train you are giving here, the train name, the system cannot take the train name here. You have to give the, one second. I'll be giving, yeah, anytime. Date of journey. I'll be giving some date here. Oh, I didn't do that. See this. When I am checking the details, it will be retrieving me some trains. Among those trains, the Hussain Sagar will also be existing. It's taking too much time. So see this, I got few trains here, right? So here I got Hussain Sagar Express also. So the system cannot understand what you have given the Hussain Sagar. It can only understand the number of the train. This is the number of the train, 12702. So instead of Hussain Sagar, you have to give into the system as this number, 12702. I think this. 12702. So this is the number you have to give instead of Hussain Sagar. So to do this thing, see, whenever you are giving the form to the railway clerk, you will not be performing all these activities, but railway clerk will be doing all this job. That means whenever you are giving Hyderabad to him, he will be writing HYB inside the IRRS system. And whenever you are giving Mumbai to him, he will be writing CSTM. And whenever you are giving the train name like this, he will be writing the train number. That means here the clerk has to do all this job. What job? Conversion of these literals, cities into the codes, as well as train names into the train numbers. This is a manual job for the clerk, railway clerk. That is the purpose The clerks was appointed, and those clerks were given almost 3 months of training to understand all these things. Each and every clerk will be provided with 3 months of training to do this job, to understand what a code is and what a city name is and what the train name is and how to identify the train number. All these things can be understood by using 3 months of training for them. But when it comes to this IRCTC sites, to understand what is the to station and from station and what are all the trains available here, did I took any training here? Nothing, right? Simply by accessing the site itself, I am able to understand from where I have to go and to where I have to go, and what are all the trains available and on which date I have to go. All this information is self-understandable here. Understood? So to provide such kind of information, this IRCTC was evolved. So we don't require any training here. Sorry, not here. We don't require any training here to implement, to work on this site. Okay. So this is the, with this you might have understood what is the first and important feature for introduction of Java. Why we have came to the Java, even though we have this application. What is that? This application has to be simple to access. Understood? We have to prepare an applications in a simple manner that can be easily understood by the user without any training required on it. That is the main intention and first intention for introduction of Java. Okay. And now coming to the second one, that is operating system. Okay. So see this IRRS works on only one operating system. The name of that operating system is OpenVMS. This is the operating system which was born in 1960s. Even before Windows, Linux, Solaris, all these operating systems didn't came into the market. At that moment, only this operating system was in market. Okay. And this application was built in 1985, IRRS. From 1985 onwards, this application is in progress. At this time, we don't have Windows, we don't have Linux. All these operating systems were not existing in market. Which is in market is only this operating system. So on this operating system, by using this language, this application was built, IRRS. Okay. Now I cannot put this application into any other operating system. The reason is, when it comes to C and C++, all these languages, let us assume that I have a simple.c language, a simple.c program in a Windows machine. I have a Windows machine here. Okay, inside this Windows machine, if I compile the simple.c, it will be giving me simple.exe file. Okay, and when it comes to the Linux, if you do the same job, compilation of the simple.c in Linux machine, it will be giving you simple.sh file. And if you do the same within the Solaris, it will gives you simple.sl file. That means depending on operating system to operating system, the compilation will be changing. The compiler will be changing as well as the compiled file will be changing. So in the same way, whatever the file you have compiled within this OpenVMS, in this OpenVMS operating system, the file what you have created is simple.vms file. Okay, this VMS file cannot be used inside the Windows machine. Inside the Windows machine, you can only use .exe files. And this VMS file cannot use inside the Linux also. The reason is, in Linux you can only access simple.sh file. Understood? So as this is the reason, the IRRS system is still using the same operating system and same language. The reason is they cannot change the operating system. Why? They don't have .exe files. They only have .vms files which can only run on this operating system. To run this in Windows machine, what they have to do? They have to again recreate all these programs. They have to write all the programs what they have written in OpenVMS and compile them by using Windows machine. Then they can apply this within the Windows operating system. But this takes really a heavy effort, because of which they are still using that. Heavy effort in the sense in terms of time as well as in terms of security also. Whether that will be properly working or not, that is also a big issue. On one day it cannot be changed. That is the reason they parallelly introduced one more application into the market to migrate people towards this and reduce the traffic for this application. Okay, so here when it comes to the IRCTC, so if you have, as of now I am using only the Windows machine, but if you are using any Linux machine also, in Linux machine also you can access this application. This website will be working in Linux machine also. The reason is everywhere inside the Java program, whatever the operating system you use, it produces you only one file when you compile that. That is .class file. Whatever the operating system you use, it is common. That means this is totally independent of operating system. It works on any operating system. We call this feature as platform independency. Understood? That means we have to create a language which is independent of any operating system. For that purpose, Java is introduced. What is the first reason? They thought of preparing a simple language which is easy to understand. And second reason is they thought of preparing a language which is totally independent of any operating system. For that purpose, they introduced Java. And third important reason is memory recollection. What I mean by memory recollection is inside this C and C++, whatever the languages, I'll go with the same example itself. Inside this example, this IRRS application will be working. I mean, clocks will be giving tickets from only 8 to 8 o'clock, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. in general. In railway stations, the people will be, clocks will be available only from this time to this time, not for 24 hours. The reason is this application has to be given some time to get refreshed. That is 12 hours of time. With the 12 hours of rest for that system, this application cannot work in next day. The servers will get hanged out because the memory, the data, whatever you are entering into this application daily, I will be entering a lot of details, right? Lot of train numbers, lot of from city to city, and a lot of people. Your name, your age, my age, your address, my address, like this. Lot of people's address details will be entering into the system. Because of that, the system will be having heavily occupied with the memory. So you have to give the system some time to sleep, as well as you have to restart the application freshly when the next day starts. Then only this application can run. Until then, it cannot run its application. Whereas when it comes to the IRCTC, you don't require this much time. See, now I access this site even now also. Now the time is 10:22, 10:30 now is. Even now also I am able to access this site. It is 24 hours available to me. But I have to say it, from 12 o'clock to 12:30, this site will not be available. This site will be restarted every midnight from 12 to 12:30. Because to clean up the data. That means it is taking only half an hour time to recollect entire to do entire memory recollection, to keep it fresh inside the system. This site is taking only half an hour, whereas the earlier site is taking 12 hours of time. Only from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. it works. From 8 p.m. to next day 8 a.m. it will not work because it needs some rest to get it refreshed. Okay, this is what memory recollection is. Why it is taking only half an hour time is it will be working mostly with the garbage collection. There is a mechanism inside Java known as garbage collection, which is doing automatic memory recollection. This will be doing the memory recollection. Whatever the data you are not using mostly, that data will be recollected by using this garbage collection. I'll explain you what garbage collection is in our further classes. But as of now, only remember that it takes very less time to recollect the memory, whereas this takes a lot of time. This application is taking. So to prepare an application, to prepare a language which takes very less time to do the memory recollection, Java was introduced. Okay, and one more thing is reliability. The last one is reliability. What I mean reliability is whenever any crash happened within the application is not there here. Until now, we are very lucky with this Indian Railway Reservation system that never crash happened. That means we didn't occur, there is no possibility of occurring the crash here. Because of that, there is no recovery mechanism also here. Whereas within your Java applications, we provide automatic crash recovery mechanisms. Because we introduced inside Java, there are some concepts known as there are few concepts within Java. One second. Known as exception handling. Okay, which will be doing automatic automatic crash recovery. Whenever any crash happened within your application, that means you have given some wrong data, it has driven you to some other place. Now, this exception handling will be automatically making you available inside the application. We call this feature as robustness. To provide an application which is robust, which will be doing automatic crash recovery, Java was introduced. So these are the major reasons why we have to learn Java, even though we have the earlier languages. What these languages is not doing and what our language is doing is these things. These are all the Java. Yeah,
Rajesh, can I ask you a question? Yeah, can you tell me that reliability one more time? I didn't get that.
Exactly. See, until now we didn't have any crash here. Let us assume that instead of now this application is saying that when I am entering my password, it is saying that
it is your account is deactivated.
As your account is deactivated, right? So if I do the same job, that means instead of giving the Hyderabad earlier, I have said you with an example, right?
Yes.
From to train number, all these things were existing, right?
Yes.
Instead of giving the Hyderabad HYB, let us assume that I have given HYD to my application, where the code is not existing inside the application. Assume that. Now the system will be totally this application will be totally stopping working. This system will never work with you. That means it will not even give you this kind of information that you entered some wrong ID or you entered some invalid code. Like that, this will not give any any error message here. It will be simply stopping working. That is what we call a crash is.
Which one will stop working? You mean
application?
IRR.
Yes. That will not give any error. That will stop working because there is no crash recovery mechanism there. That will not show you any error there. So whereas our applications, whenever you have given these kind of mistakes, those mistakes will be handled by using an exception handling mechanism inside Java. Okay. I'll explain you what exception handling is. In our classes. Okay. So we call it robustness. Okay. Anything else?
Nothing. That's all. Thank you.
Do you have anything?
No.
Okay. So along with these features, we still have few more features which we can go on further, like easy deployment and OOPS. What I mean OOPS is object-oriented programming system. Okay, this one, and portability. See, I have to explain the portability. Yeah, these two things were these two things I can explain further. But when it comes to portability, see this, there are some processor dependent systems. There will be some 32-bit systems and there will be 64-bit systems. Do you know the difference between these things? And there will be 2 gigahertz systems. All these are processors inside the computers, right? So what I mean this is, when I say 32-bit system, so you have to remember one thing here before learning any language. Whatever the things you are giving, whatever the data you are giving within any computer, that data will be again internally converted into binary data. What do you mean by binary data? Which is having only zeros and ones, isn't it? So what I mean 32-bit system is the data which will be presented in the format of 32 zeros and ones. That means if I give 12, 12 will be presented in the format of zeros and ones with 32 numbers. Okay. When I say 64 bits, 12, the same 12 will be presented with 64 zeros and ones. And 2 gigahertz in the sense, again, gigahertz in the sense 1 gigahertz is equal to 1024 bits. Okay. So the same value will be presented with, it is for 1 gigahertz. 2 gigahertz in the sense, you have to consider this as, you have to duplicate it, double it. 2048. This is what 2 gigahertz is. Okay. So these many bits you will be presenting the information. That means the processor has increased from this much to this much until today. And even today we have i5, i7 processors also, right, which are bigger than 2 gigahertz. I don't know exact number what i5 and i7 will be referring to, but they were bigger than these processors also. Okay. So what all these processors are doing is, it is multiplying the data. What you are giving, the binary data is being multiplied within these applications. This data, whatever the data I am writing here, this is being converted into all numbers. What are those numbers? Only zeros and ones inside the systems. Okay. So whatever your processor is, in any processor, the application has to be working. That's what we call as portability. That means whatever the Java file you are writing here, that Java file has to work in any of the processors, whether it is 32 bits or 64 bits or i5 or i7, whatever it is. That kind of feature is known as portability. This has to be made as architecture neutral. Okay, this has to be totally architectural neutral. That's what I mean portability is. Okay, and I will explain about this easy deployment and OOPS, object-oriented programming systems, in our further classes, because we need to learn some basics of Java to understand these things. For that purpose, I will be skipping now for these two. Okay. So as of now, until now, anyone having any doubts?
No, I'm good.
Right? Fine then. So we'll be continuing with the history and versions of the Java from tomorrow. Okay?
Okay.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Have a good night.
Thank you.